Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I actually have a little bit to run by you lot this week, and by that I mean a fair amount. But let's go in order, which I have just checked, just to refresh my own mind about everything that's happened, and apparently that was the reacting to a reaction. Which, by the way, was a video we recorded like a year ago, or just a year ago before it came out. Obviously New Year happened, so now it's been 2 years. So that was in reference to Jax randomly just like going, oh, stop posting 5 years later every day, it's getting annoying. Every 2 days is fine, but every 1 day is too much or something. So yeah, that happened, so I decided, okay, fine, I'm gonna quickly put something else together. You know, I'm still not feeling too well, but I'll do it. Incidentally, and sort of, you know, my illness, it's getting better. In fact, I'm pretty sure my headaches are almost completely gone. It was a thing where they kept on coming back, just in like small bursts. Just essentially like, you know, mildly irritated, like, well, that's a thing. Rather than, you know, beforehand where I just couldn't keep one eye open during the first day, and I think it was 6th day, I can't remember now. Because I had a headache. But yeah, not ideal. I've also seen that the not ideal thing I've done is actually go around this route. I was trying to find somewhere that was a bit quieter, that was around this particular area. Once again, going past the town, and I have not done so. But yeah, I've been getting some more rest, and slowly but surely. The other issue I had was just, you know, sneezing a lot. So again, pretty sure it was an infection that I had. Because I would have thought it would be allergies, but the signs didn't correlate because my eyes weren't itching or anything. I don't know. It was bizarre, to say the least. I had to cross I've run away while I'm standing around, I need to cross the road. There's only one side here that's not, you know, grass. Oh, I should be able to go now. Okay. That was convenient slippage, rather than... I landed with one foot and slid a bit forward into one of those metal covers. Oh, it was a stone cover. Anyway. So yeah, that was a fun time. And yeah, during that, I slowed down from the December general madness that I exhibited, because yeah, December was unquestionably my best month, possibly ever, in terms of watch hours, but I can't verify that because I didn't have my VidIQ extension at that point, so I couldn't say, oh, you know, truth about Travis, here's how many watch hours that video gave me during this point. Even though I'm pretty sure that one video could have actually got me monetized back in the day if I had actually had 900 more subscribers at the time. So, yeah. The timelines did not add up, alas. Although it would have been really fun if they did. I should have actually had a subscriber request during that video. Would have been really helpful. Then again, it is still my most generated video in terms of subscribers as well. So I think it was something like 156 overall now, which is 100 more than I had when the video was posted. That's overall over the span of the 5 years, so it's not like I gained them all at once or anything. But yeah, just kind of worth noting, really. You know, I've been looking at some video advice over time, Well, they say, oh yeah, you know, don't try to go viral because it will hurt you in the long run. Yeah, it depends. I probably just need one decently performing video. When I say decently performing, I mean to the extent of what I planned for another video, which was on here. But I'll talk about that in a second. And that video, of course, was the classic, if 40 people watch this all the way through, then I can get monetized. Which has also suffered its own number of colossal failures over time. And the reason for that is that I didn't realize when I made the 20-hour edit of it that YouTube was but had actually does not permit any videos more than 12 hours long anymore. There's some old ones that have surpassed that time, but nowadays, nope. So, yeah, much to my surprise, YouTube does indeed have a time limit, and also a gigabyte limit. But I was below that, so shouldn't have been an issue. But yeah, so I had to split that down the middle. So the idea, of course, was a full season edit of Pixelmon Joseph's Adventure, all 60 episodes. But that ended up being just the first 30. And quite honestly, thank goodness it was. Because it seemed that the general mood for a lot of people watching that video was kind of sullied over time. I personally actually had a family gathering on the day that happened. So I actually wasn't around for some of it, but I kept checking in periodically. So, yeah, but yeah, as I came back, after a while, it seemed like, of course, once again, trust this to happen, Jax complained again. It seems we're talking more and more about Jax recently. It's almost like, you know, I called him Josh 2.0 back in the day, but no, he really is like a more extreme version of Josh in terms of his emotional reactions, not in terms of his intrusiveness of other people. Except me, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, he started saying a lot of the time, oh yeah, it's time to stop this premiere. You know, it's been long enough. I can't stay here for the full time. Even though I clearly stated in the description how long it was going to be. He's saying, I've been here for 8 hours, when's it going to end? Well, the description says 9 hours, so dare I say 1 hour. Yeah. Then again, it was like 9 hours and 40 minutes or something, really, so... But regardless, he still should have known that there was more to go. And in fact, in the description, it also said that you can just, you know, put this on mute and do something else, open a different tab or something. I understand that's difficult to do when you're on mobile, but, you know, the solution for that is don't watch it on mobile. Either that or just, you know, put it on briefly when you're about to like go out and do something or whatever. I don't know. Pick up a book or whatever. I don't know. There were options. And I made that very clear. But just based on the general mood. Jax wasn't really the only one. He was the loudest of the bunch, certainly. And yeah, the main people who were really paying attention were actually BB and Shiny, who of course were, you know, the main stars of that video. In fact, it was the first premiere that Shiny actually joined of mine in quite some time. Well, sort of the intention, because, you know, getting people to remember that particular Pixelmon series and also introduce it to the new people who have come since. Because as I mentioned, there are a lot of people who watch my videos now who are very new. Because the way that I've been doing Gacha review nowadays, and also 5 years later, it's generated a lot of people who frequently come back, or will actually my videos will get promoted much more. than they used to, and I can see the difference with people interacting, and that because I interact with them directly, they'll stay. It's become sort of a double-edged sword in a way. It was interesting because actually, my friend Josiah, JG Crafter that is, complimented me on my very active community at one point. And yeah, he was saying, oh, you know, I've got 12,000 subscribers, and, you know, maybe people stick around and stuff. And that's kind of because I've made it a point to make sure that I'm around to interact with. That's one of the things that I always do, even if it's a pre-recorded video. Back, you know, in the heyday of the But a Bunch What Ifs, I was responding to comments a lot of the time, and, you know, discussing things with all the people that show up, and I still do that. I get far less comments because I upload far fewer videos, but still, it still happens, and that's my favourite part. The truth about Travis, as I mentioned before, that was exactly the same. I reckon that part of the reason that video got as much attention as it did back in the day was because I was replying to pretty much every comment that there was, which was honestly brilliant. It's one of my favourite YouTube experiences that I had, because it was the first time that I actually, you know, was able to talk about AFMAO in any sort of way. Because I mentioned to my friends about a year before that video got published that I was working on a script for a theory. Now we were all fans of game theory, and I think film theory was out by this point, but only just about. Food theory was way down the line, you know. So yeah, we were fans of game and film theory, and so the reference to making a theory of something was a subject of mild interest. But then when I mentioned it was to do with AFMAO, I had to explain who AFMAO was, you know, all about that stuff. So yeah, didn't quite work. And this was at the point, mind you, that 2016, where most people who were watching the channel were my friends or people from school who knew me and were watching because of my revision parodies and stuff, which was a really interesting time as well, to be fair, because it was the time I was doing my GCSEs and I was able to combine YouTube with my studying, which turned out way better than that sentence might suggest. Like, the revision parodies actually worked. And I remember going through in my actual history exam, trying to remember like certain dates and events and stuff, and what happened at different points that seemed all very similar. And I was able to recall them quite well because of that. It was like, okay, so what happened at the Tehran conference? Please write that down. And of course, in my head I was going, some remember the year of Tehran, when the superpowers worked as one. Stalin voted for German attack, and it was Roosevelt who always had his back. Yeah, see, I remember it 6 years later. 7 now. Sorry, new year. Forgot about that. So there you go. Actually works. Anyway, that was mainly what I was known for, because I was also known for doing parodies at school. It was a whole thing. At some point I have to outline my YouTube journey in a much more succinct way than this. Maybe that will be a full-on movie. Maybe that will get me the watch hours, because I'll be just talking forever. That could be an interesting thing. Maybe I'll do that for July, for you know, the 10th anniversary of the channel. Because yeah, covering 10 years of your life is again a very interesting thing to actually do. Obviously got to start that way sooner than I did the Christmas special for Musin Girl. Which, yeah, by this point I am just going to say, yeah, I'm just going to do that next year. Mainly because I also have a Fallen Angels epic scene that Aiden's been waiting for me to do. You know, before I got sick, before I told him I was going to do more season 3 edits before the remake became a thing. So yeah, gonna focus on that once we get back, which we're gonna go back today. I don't know. I'll have to start streaming my editing sessions so I can actually get the watch hours up, as well as finish off a bunch of projects. So yeah, I guess beware of that if you don't want spoilers. I have to put that in the title of the videos, I suppose. I won't do any of the big scenes. In fact, some scenes of the Muse and Girl stuff are obviously done by other people, so that will not be an issue. So yeah, I'm not going to stream the Fallen Angels one because that's not fair to Aiden. So I can't speak on his behalf in terms of spoilers. That's not fair. So yeah, what was I saying all that time ago? Okay, so yeah, past me, when I mentioned the script of Truth About Travis, it was a big thing because when that happened for me, because again, couldn't talk to anyone about stuff. This was before I joined the Aphmau wiki properly. I used it as research for that theory, but I wasn't really looking to expand my Aphmau knowledge all that much until that point. So it was some time. I think it was around the time that the might be also because of Nekoet, to be fair. So that's when I made that page, but also because, I don't know, just been roaming back there for other theories and stuff, and then it came across the fun and games section, and that was that. So the rest was history. That's where I met BB and also Jay and Natasha. So yeah, that one video really did change everything for me, and for the better. But I've mentioned that before. There could be like a whole chapter. In fact, that's probably the most distinct place to put like a marker of different eras of my channel, because I mentioned before how like the retro reconstructions were almost like, okay, I want to go back to the way that I was. Thought I was more entertaining at 13 than was at 15. I was wrong, but besides the point. Because yeah, I felt like I changed a lot as a person, even though the content itself really hadn't. But yeah, after that point was when I started doing more reactions, more theories, more reviews, more. The things people know me for now, the seeds of those were cemented after that video. So it really was like a marking of the beginning of something new, of new Jacob. I think all channels have a video that is kind of like that. Except for maybe the Buster Bunch, to be honest. We didn't have a video that marked a difference in our particular journey, because we're kind of doing the same thing already. I don't really know where I'm going with that. So, yeah. Oh look, 166166. It's my old student number. I can reveal now because it was, again, about 5 years ago. In fact, exactly. Again, New Year. So, yeah, that was something. In fact, I mentioned the video and though, all my followers are fans, and then afterwards, that's the part that aged the worst out of all that entire theory. And then after a while, actually, I started, for reasons that weren't to do with Aphmau herself, to distance myself from that content. It took a while afterwards until 5 years later was the convenient excuse to be like, okay, let's come back, let's bring back the nostalgia, because Aphmau herself has changed so much of the way she does things. And I have not looked back since. yeah, that was that. Oh wow, I recognize this road. I didn't realize it connected here. I was going to loop back around again. Don't suppose that's really apt to do anymore. Oh well. Yeah, gonna see this one through, to be honest. Okay, so I've also got to actually wrap this up, and I haven't even gotten through like half of the stuff I wanted to say. In fact, that's a good point. I've not got through half the stuff I want to say. If this turns out to be the route that I think it is, I will turn back round. So I just want to complete this cycle, you see. Okay. Right, where was I? Yeah, I was mentioning triple trans for a reason. Oh yeah, the double-edged sword thing. The active community is a double-edged sword now because with the inclusion of premieres, that became like a major focus because I was able to interact with all of you directly and without having to go through the comments, which of course would generate the more of the boosts, etc. But at the same time, I'm able to make longer content and less edited content that in turn made it faster to actually produce for everyone. Which is also why I stopped doing the pre-recorded gacha reviews and do the live ones now. That was because I decided, okay, well, I need something else because 5 years later can't come out on YouTube anymore. So let's just switch over the style of gacha review. And so I did. And obviously that's been intermittent ever since. It used to be that it was 5 years later one day, gacha review another day, which is what Jax was referring to, but because I wanted to get the watch hours up, I pushed it up to both of those each day for quite a bit. Which being the biggest like time ever for watch hours. Even though a lot of the stuff that came from that particular video, the watch hours end up being removed for some reason. Not like what we did was deceptive or anything. There's no rule against it. I checked. I'm not really sure. But either way, it was a clear distinction. You know, all the months now said like 300, 200. There's 161 in June before I realised what the change was. All the other months were 100 before January of last year. So now they're all 300, 200, 500. So yeah, you lot did in fact come through for that. Now it just needs to happen 8 more times. I'm kidding, it does not 8 more times, but yeah. That's like I said, I could do with another viral Truth About Travis thing, just so I can cement that. In fact, I need to make more music, because I also checked what kind of stuff got me to 300-ish watch hours before I was trying to gain those numbers. Because back in the early 2022, I was still trying to climb up to 1,000 subscribers, and then watch hours would come as a focus later. But now it's but now I'm looking back to see, and yeah, it turns out I didn't actually post any public videos in the early parts of January, and even though they're ones that seem to have gone down by 20 watch hours from the last, because they're like a last 12-month count. I should have mentioned that before. And I do not think this was the right way after all. Yeah, so it's a 12-month counter, because that's what the usual requirement is. 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months. So yeah, so that's been a thing. And what was I going to say? Yeah, so I looked up and it's like, okay, what did I publish that got this amount of views or watch hours? But yeah, unlike now, I am just going to turn around. Unlike now, the watch hours from that stuff before, actually it just turns out was probably residual hours from possibly like episode 11 of Musical Season 2 or something else that had happened. Which is interesting because they say that January is the worst month for watch time consistently. Even though for me, it used to be the second highest peak before, again, I started trying to get more watch hours and succeeded. Yeah, that was a whole thing. It's also so yeah, I said unlike today because with the content I do now, this is where the double-edged sword thing finally comes back into what I was saying. It's it means that because the content I do is designed entirely for live consumption for the most part, again, premieres aside, it's there are people aren't going back to those videos. They're watching in the moment and then leaving things off, with the clear exceptions of stuff like the Mutant Girl and stuff, which people will continue to go back to. Which is another reason why I need to finish editing some more Mutant Girl so I can actually get that out again. But yeah, that's the issue that comes with that. And you know, has it been a more successful strategy for watch hours? Absolutely. But if I want to actually, you know, keep getting more and hopefully do something that's have the passive as well as the active approach, I need to be able to put time aside, especially now that I'm better and have other priorities to get back to that I've left because I was sick and because it was the holidays, to make sure that I've got stuff that matches that description as well. I need to get help for that, but it depends. I haven't considered how I go about that yet. The getting help part, I've considered what I could do for passive stuff. Because the Necroette song, perhaps unsurprisingly, underperformed. Not because there's any issue with, well, I mean, there was a few issues with how the production went and such, but also because it was several days too late from when, you know, it's been proven to work the best. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think more songs, because the other thing that I also was doing around this time for January was when Siren Story rehearsals were already starting. Because actually that was interesting. It's when I got back into doing YouTube more intensely, the watch hours went down because I wasn't repeating the same songs over and over again during rehearsals of Siren Story. That's the only explanation that I've been able to find during that as to why that happened. So yeah, very interesting. And now I think I see where I went wrong in terms of the cycle being completed. Yeah, it was this way, wasn't it? Okay. So yeah, that's what I was. So I guess back to the rest of the week, the last 8 minutes of recording space I have. So other than the if 40 people watch this, which by the way also was affected by the active versus passive thing. You wouldn't know this from the premiere, but it was there were chapters on the video, so people can go back and continue watching from whatever episode they left off on deliberately. But because again, people only watch the live stuff now, the morale was probably not substantial enough. So, but yeah, what was substantial enough, of course, was again the live reaction to the movie edit of The Mutant Girl Season 2, which I made originally for GachaTube, which is why some of the tracks have changed, and why there was timestamps and such on there. And so that was. I didn't realize as well they've now decided, okay, let's make sure we own. I don't know if they said if the movie edits or not. It was like a bit of a gamble, but I waited the time that I did and then left it for ages and decided, okay, this is gonna be my my final New Year's Eve treat. So I can I can do something Mutant Girl related without the stress of actually having to edit it and rush it. Because that's always the thing around this time of year. Last year, around this time, I was making I was still stressfully trying to finish off The Mutant Girl Season 2, Episode 12. The one where I had a 9-minute scene. Everyone had sent their stuff in. Then by this point, or I was in the final wrangling stages, but I had to actually get some other people just to send me the screen assets and such, which is why there's a bit of a disparity between Felix's syringe versus his tranquilizer gun, which he suddenly has. That was a communication error on my part. Which way did I come down? I forgot now. It's not good if I can't find my way back to where I said before. I'll just turn around. Okay. And then the year before that, I guess, wasn't as bad, but the year before that was the end of season 1, which was, again, super rushed, and you can tell. That's another thing. New year, new remake time. I've informed all of the voice actors by both DMs and server pings that their services are once more required. And I've had a few of them submit things or, ask to see the script again, even though it's in the same place as normal. Oh, you know what? I'm going down the school path. Why not? Why not? Because it's quieter. Okay, so the editors will be on deck for that. And I was planning to get my season 3 scene out of the way so I can actually have the editors do that. In fact, some people have been waiting on standby. Apparently, William said he was on standby for another scene, even though I pinged people ages ago about the scenes and these just weren't claimed. I don't think William gets server pings on that server, so I'll have to tell him directly. Oh, I just flew to my nose, jeez. Yeah, no, it's gonna sting. Okay. I think that's mostly it. Because then afterwards I went back to, regularly scheduled programming with more 5 minutes later every day. Sorry about that, Jax. And Gacha Review at the same time. And, despite what happened, all the errors yesterday, at the very least, those still seem to be performing quite highly. I know people are going to go back to school from the holidays. In fact, they sometimes have now. including Jax himself. But I will eventually find out. Or see some sort of drop. But it hasn't happened yet, so yeah, I've got to try and keep going. Keep carrying on, or whatever. It's all I really can do. But also, I wish to mention as well, I have another question for everyone, because I was going to put this on my community tab as well. I mentioned before that I was going to be working on also ballet pops, or at least on the live stream productions of that. I've been thinking about that, and because Eli knows so much more about ballet and has so much more of an actual passion for it, doesn't make sense for me to take that aspect away, especially because it's Eli and Johnny who mostly have the dances and musical motif to what they do. It just doesn't make sense for me to suddenly be like, okay, that's the one I'm going to do, even if I do choose a dancer. So I think I'm going to choose a different motif. Might not be dance related, might be something else entirely. I'm not actually sure. But that's what I wanted to say to you. Did you want something in particular? It could be something like, I think Literature Pops was mentioned, but that's a really long title. I could also say Myth Pops, for example. If you wanted some more Greek mythology content on a different channel, because again, this would not be Butterverse, it wouldn't go on the main channel, it would go on the More Culture from Jacob. But yeah, just that, more Greek mythology related things. See if I can actually make some monsters or whatever. I don't know exactly how that would go down. But yeah, that's probably gonna have to prioritize that much later, because again, Fallen Angels, because I was going to plan to do the season 3 stuff in between, but it reminded me of that Fallen Angels scene. That I didn't mean to rhyme that. Which of course he's been waiting for quite some time. He wanted to get halfway through Fallen Angels last year. It was like, I want a Christmas special, neither of us got that, so you never know. He's also writing his own one for Fallen Angels. It's going to be for next year. He's already starting on that, so yeah, he's getting that out of the way well in advance. I was meant to be calling me about that sometime soon. So yeah, I'm glad that I've recovered. I also found my way back to where I was before. I'm glad that I'm healthy again, because clearly I need to be. Let's hope I don't get sick again from everything that's going to start going on once more. I guess we'll wait and see. Between that, please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And subscribe if you haven't already. Sorry, I just say that slower. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.